Yes, welcome and welcome, Julia from Tidal Impact. Thanks so much for being here. Julia will be co-moderating with me together the PIRATEx Spotlight. Julia, what is your relationship with climate, or how did you get into climate, or what do you do?
Thank you. Thanks, Manuel, for having me here. I'm super excited to be here, especially to have something physical. I mean, otherwise there's so many virtual events and it gets really boring. So very happy to be here. And yeah, so I am building an impact investment firm, and we are looking to support companies that have an environmental and social purpose. And obviously, that's how I started getting to know the whole field of climate tech, and starting to get to know all these amazing founders. And just to explain to you a little bit about Tidal, so we have built ourselves as a holding company, so we're not exactly a venture capital fund, because we thought of a concept how we can really support companies with a longer-term vision, and giving them a bit of an alternative financing concept. Happy to talk to anybody who's interested about that afterwards, but yeah, so that got me to here. I'm also leading a global entrepreneurship organization called Sigma Squared. Maybe some of you guys know about it. We've got up to 1,000 members all around the world working on the biggest problems in the world, including climate. So very happy to be here. Thank you.
It's really, really fascinating what you are doing, and also to see how many founders and just very active people start in this climate space, and they really want to have an impact. And we see everywhere that things are being done, and people are active, and people really want to do something. And I'm very, very excited about that. And today, because for Pirate, this whole climate thing is very important, and we read the IPCC report that just came out, and it really, yeah, I was a little bit down for a few days, to be honest.
Who was?
I was extra happy that we have the chance today to bring out to the world, show. Or talk about climate tech, but also show what is being done, and that there are a lot of startups working at building solutions, building products to solve the crisis, basically. And when we thought about doing this event, in the past, we've always done pitch competitions. And you do pitch competitions, and then you have these startups. Usually we did 60 startups, they competed, and you had a final battle of 10 or something like that. And then you pick a winner, and they get something. And then we thought, what can we really do that will make an impact, and that's not just the next pitch competition that we have done for so many years. So we thought, why not turn this around a little bit, and not have the startups pitch against each other, but just pitch for support. Because at least we believe that every startup that is working in the climate tech space has the opportunity to really make a difference. So, and why not blow wind into their sails, right? So that's what we intend to do today. We had quite a few applications for pitching today, and we have picked 6 startups that will essentially pitch here. And there will be a support panel of 8 experts from various fields, and the startups will pitch their idea. They will show what kind of impact they're making, but especially they will also have an ask. So they will ask us, everybody here, to say, okay, this is how we could help, and how the support panel could help.
Absolutely.
So this is what we're going to do today.
That's amazing, and I want to add here that I really love this concept because, again, there are so many pitch competitions out there, right? And I love the idea that you're actually focusing, or we're focusing on collaboration rather than competition today. And
Yes.
It's something that my co-founder is telling me, because he's in Silicon Valley. He says, actually, there's starting to be this movement where investors sometimes start pitching to the really good founders, and I really like that there's this dynamic where we actually see how can we best help you, even though it might not be a good investment for me, for example, but what can we do to actually bring you to the next level. So without further ado, since you mentioned the support panel, I would love to welcome the support panel now. And we've got 8 amazing individuals with all sorts of different backgrounds being with us here today. And we have Tim, Marcus, Marie, JJ, Florian, Hannah, and Johannes tuning in all virtually. And I'd like to give them a very warm welcome and to hear what they do and get them introduce themselves to us. Hello.
Hi there.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, very well. So good to have you here. So Manuel and I have been very excited to do this together, and obviously it would have been great to have all of you with us here tonight, or this afternoon, I mean. But what we would like to do is to very briefly understand who you are and what your expertise is and what you could contribute, especially in regards to the founders that are appearing in a little bit and that are going to present to us. So how about we start with Tim? Who are you? And tell us just a very few brief sentences about yourself.
Hello, Tim Schumacher from Cologne, Germany. I am an entrepreneur and investor. Started multiple companies, helped grow a few companies, some in the software, some in the climate space. Most known, ecosia.org, the green search engine, things like Solar.de, the solar platform, and others. And what I can offer is the experience of having grown multiple companies, so the entrepreneurial experience and trying to coach, and of course, money.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Who wants to go next? How about Marie?
Hey, thanks for having me. So I'm a principal at the newly funded European Circular Bioeconomy Fund. It's a growth stage fund located in Bonn, Germany. And what I can bring a background in chemistry combined with knowledge in early stage as well as growth stage financing. I started my VC career at Hightech Gründerfonds and then switched to ECBF as of January.
Amazing. Thanks, Marie. JJ, hello. Can you introduce yourselves to us?
Yes, of course. Maybe first, I would like to say that though I like this new setup, that I think it was 2019 where Plan A actually won the Walk the Plank competition, and it put a lot of wind in our sails. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at Plan A, also Green Tech Alliance co-founder, together with Hannah, who is here with me today. And I can especially help in bringing that whole community also to all the participants today, as well as more focused on the go-to-market.
Fantastic. Yeah, the Green Tech Alliance is a great community. So why don't we just go next to Hannah?
Sure. Really great to be here today. Thank you so much. I am a founder of an app called Gifted, which is still in development. So it's early stage, actually, it's an app to give pre-loved clothes to friends, family, and neighbors with a membership model. And that's my latest project. But what I've done before is I've created a circular fashion brand called Silpha. I also co-founded the Green Tech Alliance. And before that, I have been working in a sustainable accelerator in London called Impossible and have 10 years of experience in B2B software sales. And worked across different ventures in London and San Francisco in Germany. And my expertise, I think, is in go-to-market strategies for B2B and B2C, and with a special focus on sustainable products.
Amazing. Thanks, Anna. Marcus, over to you.
Yeah, hi, I'm Marcus. I'm the founder of Climate Founders, and we help very early stage founders to find a team, to work in the very early pre-seed phase, and help them almost with everything in that phase. That's Climate Founders. About me personally, I'm in the German startup scene for about 11 years and co-founded startups and yeah, in the last 3 or 4 years, I mentored about 60 or 70 startups. In the last 2 years, mainly climate tech, and that's also the focus.
Fantastic. Already a very diverse group. Johannes, can you introduce yourself as well?
Hi, everyone. So I'm happy to be here. I'm Johannes, managing partner of UVC. We are a German-based venture capital fund with 200 million now in our fund, doing early stage investments. I have personally 20 years of experience on both sides. So I had also my own company in a semicon equipment area. We sold successfully, and then I went back to investor side. What we bring to the table next to the money is we bring you customers. How can we do that? We are a part of Unternehmertum and closely associated with them. Unternehmertum is the largest entrepreneurship and innovation center here in Munich, with 200 corporate partners that work closely with us. And we can provide basically these corporate partners as your first customers, and that we do very successful in our B2B investments. We have invested in companies like Twice, Conox, and also Flixbus, as you might know, and really looking at mobility and climate tech for the future.
That's pretty impressive. I'm sure the founders are going to really enjoy your input. Then we have Oscar as well. Hello. Nice to have you with us.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. Oscar, also based in Cologne. And I am working for the Agency for Economic Development of the city of Cologne. And what we essentially bring to the table is we are based here in the city, so we have a very good overview of the different initiatives that we have here for startups, but as well the connection with the established companies. So that's essentially networking with other startups here in the region or with other corporates. And we are also working a close collaboration with the major cities in Germany. So I think that's also one of our assets. We can help the startups if they want to establish a larger footprint here in Germany. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Oscar. And let's wrap it up with Florian. You just joined a little bit later, right? But love to hear from you as well.
Hi guys. Sorry for the delay. My apologies. Thanks for having me. My name is Florian. I work for KPMG Venture Services. I've been coaching and training and accompanying startups for over 8 years now. I have a legal background from my university degree, and I'm working in the corporate tax department at KPMG. So I do a lot around legal stuff and taxes, but I also have a smaller focus on German Gemeinnützigkeitsrecht. So being a non-profit organization in Germany is dependent on tax regulations. So this is something that I can contribute. And I'm a coach at one of the accelerator programs for impact startups in Duisburg. It's called Impact Factory. They're supported by Haniel, and I've been coaching there for I think a little more than 2 years now. So I have a speciality in accompanying impact and non-profit startups for some time now, and I'd be happy to contribute to the, especially to the development, to stuff like financing, taxes, legal issues around the impact startups in your pitch.
Fantastic. Thanks, Florian. Now, what a great support panel. We're very excited for this today. And one last point. So we obviously also have an audience watching right now. And since this is a call for collaboration, if any of you have any ideas when you hear the pitches of the startups, just type it in the chat or even contact the founders directly, because they will let you know how you can reach them, because we want this to be as impactful as possible for everyone attending today. So I'd say let's get started with the first company.
Absolutely. Great. So before we really get the first startup on stage, let's quickly explain the rules. The rules are very, very simple. Every startup has 3 minutes sharp to explain their idea or their business, explain the impact they're having, and how we could blow wind into their sails. And after that, there will be a 5 to 6 minutes Q&A with a support panel. Q&A mainly being around giving advice, but also offering very specific help. Who can, and there will also be questions that you or the chat that will be open. So we'll also be monitoring that. So type in your things there, and then let's get started. I would say the first startup is tackling the food waste problem, and the first startup is called Spark.
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes, Alex.
Excellent.
Great.
Okay, my name is Alex. I'm the founder and CEO of Spark Global.
Great that you were here. There, Alex. Hang on a second.
Thank you.
Just quickly want to. I will tell you when to start. Great to have you.
Okay.
Great to have you with us. Great that you have come on the panel on the Climate Tech Spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have 3 minutes to convince the audience and the jury that you are the right startup and that you are solving an impactful problem. And your time starts now.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's amazing to be here. My name is Alex. Our mission at Spark Global is to eliminate food waste in the supply chain and drive down climate damage. 2.5 billion tons of food are getting wasted every year, which translates into 750,000 truckloads every day. Crazy. Which also accounts for 10% of all greenhouse gas emissions across the globe, one of the largest CO2 emitters on this planet. So why is that? The global food supply chain is broken. It's a lack of efficiency when it comes to resource utilization, which translates into 40% of food overproduction, which is insane. But at the same time, it's a huge opportunity to fix the supply chain, drive value creation, and protect resources. Now, our solution is a global B2B food exchange, creating massive efficiencies. How do we do this, basically? It's a technology-driven distribution platform because there is no B2B food exchange in place, which fascinated me. Yeah, so our matchmaking between supply and oversupply and demand works to channel food into canteens, industry caterers, food production companies, NGOs, and gastronomy. There's also an opportunity to produce wonderful circular products, turning surplus into products like soups, jams, fruit salad, frozen dishes, while collaborating with IFS certified food producers. Now, our business model is to trade. So it's an arbitrage model, selling food, basically. But also there's an opportunity for business model innovation. So I've looked at Tesla's financial success, and we at Spark will also do something quite similar, translating CO2 credits into certificates for our partners, creating huge value, which is helping them to drive down and offset their CO2 footprint. Now, our traction today is about 150 tons of food waste avoided, translating into almost 400,000 meals and 400 tons of CO2. Obviously, we can't do this by ourselves, but we've onboarded a number of large partners like Compass Group on the demand side, producing 5.5 billion meals per year, supply chain integrators, and also folks helping us to implement our standards like GS1, DIN, and Fraunhofer. So join the Spark Alliance to bridge the gap between business and impact and purpose, bring powerful systemic change to the planet. So our ask is to, be fantastic if you helped us to find executives in the food supply companies, also in food processing companies on the demand side, and to find more money, because we're in the middle of raising our Series A, 10 million. And I'm thrilled to tell you, just 15 minutes ago, I'm not kidding you, the first million got signed. Thank you.
Alex, thank you so much. That was just in time. You even had a few seconds left.
Okay,
that is amazing.
Well.
So, I'd love to give it directly to the support panel. You had three asks in there. First, support panel, are there any questions, any clarifying questions that you have right now?
Maybe I can start? Okay. So my question is, it's really interesting how you want to tackle food waste. But first of all, there's quite a lot of competitors on the market who do similar things. And secondly, where are your revenue streams? How do you intend to make money from this business? Because I'm an investor,
Right.
and that's for me one of the key things that I'm looking for.
Yeah, so on the first question, when it comes to competition, there's, you might smile, but there's no real competition, because like when you look at companies like Too Good To Go and other ones, they qualify as partners. Yeah, and just mentioning Too Good To Go, for example, they are more focused on retail, which is towards the end of the supply chain, B2C. We at Spark are focused on B2B, so it's entirely complementary. And in fact, we do partner together. When it comes to leads, some are too small for them, or too large for them, and so like we kick around the ball. So like we act as partners. Yeah, and that's something I believe in very much. It's all about ecosystem and not about competition. And if you look at the numbers, 2.5 billion tons of food oversupply, there's enough room for everyone to really move the needle. When it comes to business model, your other question, as I mentioned, so like we work as a trading platform. So like we get our hands on the food for free in most cases. And we're talking tons and tons and tons. Like there's a lot of volume. Selling that food to hospitals, to large channels on the demand side, like industry caterers, at a discount. Yeah, so people going through us, they get perfect food, at an affordable price, while saving their budgets basically. And that's our business model, number one. Number two is like food production, which gives us more higher monetization levels than just trading food. Number three is pickup fees when we collect food. And then also, like I mentioned, there's food certificate, which is coming like in 1 or 2 years, which is still ahead. But if you look at Tesla, they're making billions with that food certificate. So that's our plan too.
So just to understand correctly, you really buying oversupplies, food that was basically overproduced, and then selling to other people, or do you go really into the existing food chains, for example, an Aldi talking to all these farmers to get the milk? So I'm not clear where in the value chain you really focus on.
Yeah, so when you look at 40% of overproduction levels, basically it's just too much. Yeah, it's not bad food or like, B quality. It's just, it's oversupply. It's too much. When we pick up the food or we channel the oversupply into like demand partners, we're getting our hands on that food for free in most cases. Yeah, so it's zero cost. And why is that possible? Because we save these people disposal costs. Yeah, so there's an economic argument for them to partner with us, because if Spark wouldn't be around, they would have to dispose of their food, which is like a huge cost position in their P&L. So that cost piece, we save them, enabling us to like, get our hands on that food for free. Yeah, and then we sell it at market price minus 20-30% as huge volume. So it's arbitrage.
Okay.
Could you?
I still haven't fully understood where in the value chain, you're starting. You working with the actual food production companies, or as mentioned before, later in the value creation chain, is that where your starting point is?
Yeah, so we're cutting across all segments of the supply chain. Yeah, as you mentioned, number one is like agriculture, which is production, which is the majority of our use cases that we see when it comes to like high tonnage, but also logistics, transportation, wholesale, retail warehouses. So we're not at the supermarket level, which is too small for us basically, but like we stop at the central warehouse operations of retailers like Edeka and Rewe and so on. Yeah, so like basically all elements which we need to cover to actually provide a comprehensive solution. Yeah, but our focus is on agriculture because that's the majority of like where the stuff frees up.
Thank you. These were all questions which are, because your third ask was about investment, which are very much investment related. We have 1.5 minutes left only from the Q&A time. I would also go to the first two asks, maybe, and you can, everybody that is interested to further talk to Alex about a potential investment, please reach out to him. The first to ask was, does anybody have contacts to executives in food processing companies or generally food companies? Is there anybody that might be able to help? Also for the audience, maybe you know someone, and maybe you can either put it in the chat or reach out directly to Alex. Support panel.
Alex, I have one more question. I did not fully understand what is the stuff that you're actually receiving. Maybe this is something that also Hannah wanted to know. You're closer to the agriculture, so maybe if you could describe one or two of your existing clients and what you're actually receiving from them, then I could get a better picture if there's anybody I might know in the food or retail industry that would be a potential partner, client, whatever for you.
Sure. Yeah, so to give you two examples, number one is like tomatoes, right, as an agricultural product, which is available, you know, in tons and tons and tons. Yeah, so like we basically identify the oversupply. It could be tomatoes also, it could be salads, yeah, anything that is produced in Germany, for example. And then at the same time, we know already where it needs to go because like our demand partners tell us, yeah, like industry caterers, like Compass Group, as I mentioned, yeah. So like individual products, we call them single product high volume, yeah, which does make sense to move it into like production in a structured way while making money. Yeah, so these are two use cases. When it comes to production, for example, a fruit salad is a beautiful product. So we can channel lots of fruit through like production companies, produce wonderful fruit salad, bring it back to society or to industry, and sell it as a truly circular product while making revenues and EBITDA.
Unfortunately, our time is up. I'm sorry. We have to move on. If you know of executives in food retail, food processing companies, talk to Alex. Maybe make an intro. Help Alex take the next step. Alex, thank you very, very much for being here. Thanks for presenting your idea. And all we can say is the best of luck. We hope that you are going to revolutionize the food, or going to solve or decrease the food waste issue.
Yes.
Very, very important problem.
My pleasure.
Thanks so much.
It was an honor to be here. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks a lot. Awesome. So the next startup that's coming is called Maisie in the field of smart mobility. And what they're doing is they're addressing the mass mobility problem in Africa. So that's a very interesting one. And would love to welcome Jesse. Hi, Jesse. How's it going?
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Good.
Where are
Nice
you
to
dialing
see you
in
too.
from?
Nairobi, Kenya.
From Kenya? Oh, wow. That's
Yep.
fantastic. Amazing. So your startup is about addressing the mobility problem in Africa, right?
Exactly.
So I'm very curious to hear more about it. I know a little bit about the African space, but please go ahead and present to us. You have 3 minutes time, as you know, and afterwards the support panel will engage in a bit of a discussion with you.
Awesome.
So,
cool.
Awesome. Time's running now.
Okay, awesome. So what you can see on the screen is a typical street in Uganda, and the situation is pretty much similar for the rest of the continent. Mobility is in a mess, but we think that mass mobility in Africa is at the cusp of a revolution. Right now, it's highly fragmented and inefficient, and growing population is putting a lot of pressure on existing infrastructure. Now, this causes so many issues for public transport operators in terms of not growing their fleets and not being able to make the bottom lines more, but also in terms of the amount of CO2 that's being emitted, with over 250,000 bikes bought in Kenya every single year. So our solution is the Magnus 3000, our step at electrifying the over 5 million boarders or motorbikes in East Africa. Now it boasts a variety of different features, from being safer to having financial inclusion through cheaper payments. We're also ensuring that it's clean because it's an electric motorbike, and ensuring EV infrastructure through our battery swapping stations. Now, this is the product up close. We are trying to make sure that we build the future of mobility with the biggest segment. The bike boasts features from being 140 kilometers of range with a dual battery capability, but also having the option of, kind of like growing and being ready for the market here in Nairobi. Now, the market is also pretty big. We're looking at East Africa having a TAM of about 14 billion, and looking at us capturing, a sizable portion of that as we ride this mega trend that is electric vehicles, and is going to be a big thing for Africa. Now, business model is predicated on our sourcing parts, although we're looking to be more locally assembled. And then we fully assemble them here, and we have two channels for distribution, a B2C and a B2B channel. In B2B, we bill the customers monthly, and in B2C, we bill them per swap with $1.25 per swap as our cost. We also charge our batteries with solar and then distribute them to battery swapping stations across Nairobi. Now, this is a clear example of one of our customers. This is their profile. They don't make so much, and we think that we can save them 50% of their costs, adding to the number of people they're able to support. Now, the traction so far is we're in our early days. We're in the seed stage. We've sold 10 bikes. We're partnering with Jumia, or the people you see on the side, and we're just getting started. We've been in the market, and we understand what we need and where we need to go. And this is why, right now we're raising our seed round, but we also believe that the market is ready. We have a wait list of over 500 people after 24 hours of getting signatures. People really want this product. We also think that we can move to borders, to tuk-tuks, buses, and complete the whole transport mix in Nairobi. This is our team, battery experts from Silicon Valley all the way to Nairobi. And I'm telling you, this is the team that's going to take Nairobi and Africa to being fully electric. Our impact is based on these SDGs. We think within 5 years, with 5,000 motorbikes converted, or actually made electric, we'll save 4.9 megatons of CO2 every single year. Now, this is extremely massive. Now, if you want to join our journey, and I would love to encourage you to do so, I mentioned funding a lot, but we're also looking for networks with suppliers and battery manufacturers, and just people to ease on the supply side of things. We're also looking for technical assistance, whether this is your intern, consultant that want to do pro bono work here in East Africa. I welcome you to Nairobi, Karibu Nairobi. Welcome to Mazi. Join the movement. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jesse. Almost on time, just about on time. But thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. So now, support panel, do you have any questions? Anything that's not clear yet? And also, how do you think can you support Jesse in his endeavor to bring more access to mobility in Kenya?
Great idea, first of all. I like how kind of specific it is, and there's a clear need that is met. But can you first explain again on a kind of a unit economic, like this one motorcycle? Do you change the whole motorcycle? So do you have to swap, or do you basically put the battery and just put the new motor into the motorcycle? And then can you explain just on one motorcycle, like what is the cost of it, and like how quickly does it amortize compared for the actual user compared to continuing to drive with petrol?
Awesome, great questions. So the unit econ, this motorbike costs about $1,600. A petrol-driven bike is a little bit cheaper at about $1,400. And we actually think that this does a much better job in terms of savings. Its lifespan right now is, say, about 3 to 5 years, depending on use. And what we actually see is we don't sort of like convert pieces of the bike. We bring in a completely new one. We're looking at, working with a manufacturer offsite. And the reason why we do this is the economics of conversion of an existing petrol-driven bike just doesn't make sense based on how cheap it is to acquire a motorbike that's petrol-driven. So by the time you convert, it's just too expensive for the person to then go to an electric bike.
And the price difference of 200, how quickly does that amortize for the user?
So it depends on whether or not they have financing. So for example, if you are to finance a petrol-driven bike and finance electric bike, you might see kind of like a $1 difference a day in terms of payments before they're actually able to pay off the motorcycle. So it's not really too much when we do the financing math. Yeah. I don't know if I've answered the question.
I have also a comment, a question. I think great idea. Just did I understand it correctly that you're building your own motorcycle, or is it that you're buying it and then operating and renting it?
So we don't own the motorbikes as an asset. Let me just go back to a business model over here. So what we do is we source motorbikes right now. We're looking at assembling more of the pieces here and working with a manufacturer offsite just because of the scale that they have, and then bringing that into Kenya. We assemble it fully, and then we sell the motorbike without the battery. Where we really play is in the electric mobility infrastructure of battery swapping. The biggest thing, most motorbikes in Kenya need to be on the road almost 95% of the time. So they don't have time to wait for charging. And the biggest issues holding back electrification of mobility is the infrastructure piece. And so we think that, the electric motorbikes in the market right now are good enough. What we can do is play a piece in bringing them in, selling them to create the demand or to have that demand, and then having the motorbike batteries in which we do the swaps in under 2 minutes. And that's why we have a swapping fee of 1.25 and a monthly fee if you're a business.
Okay, good. So talking about support, we are an investor. Unfortunately, we probably will not invest outside of Europe, just because our rules, but we can help you maybe with, we have quite a few investments with Twice in the storage and battery systems, or FinAuto, they're doing rental model. So maybe if you want to exchange views with those startups, and we have a good context to suppliers of the whole automotive industry.
I'd love that. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Thanks so much, Johannes. Does anyone else have any suggestions, any questions? I know, Jesse, you said you're specifically looking to for contact to battery providers. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Right.
So like battery suppliers, yeah.
Does anyone in the support panel have expertise in the battery field, or have any contacts, or have any additional comments they want to make as to how they can support Jesse in his endeavors?
I have a few comments, not necessarily in the battery supply, although maybe in the Green Tech Alliance, we have a number of startups or advisors that can help you out with that. I'm happy to have a chat somewhere next week to elaborate on that. What I was thinking, or first my question actually is, what are your customer acquisition channels? How do you sell these bikes and to whom? Because I saw that you right now have sold 10 bikes. How do you go from 10 to 100 and then to 1,000?
Awesome. So I always say the demand side is not the challenge. In terms of customer acquisition, you would be surprised. Direct to consumer on the streets is how we acquire a lot of people. That's the best way and where we find most of our customers. And then on the more like traditional digital channels like paid ads, that's when you get your businesses. And so we've sold a couple to businesses, but as I said, within the sales pipeline or the channel that we built, within 24 hours, you got over 500 people interested in putting down a deposit and buying a Mazi motorbike. And so we think that servicing the demand is not the challenge. I think the problem that we have right now is getting the bikes into the country to sell them. It's quite an interesting problem to have. And then also reducing the amount of time we take between lead time to get a motorbike. So that's predominantly how we acquire our customers. And then word of mouth through WhatsApp groups. You can have one person in 8 WhatsApp groups with over 50 riders in each group. And word of mouth really spreads quite quickly on the continent. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. We are out of time, unfortunately, but please get in touch with Jesse separately, and hope that you'll have a good conversation. So, Manuel, I think we're on to the next company, right?
Yeah, we're going from batteries that are in production to batteries that are old, and what to do with those, and basically how to recycle them in a very let's say interesting and productive way. And the next startup is Voltfang. David, can you hear me?
Of course. Hey.
Hi there, David. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm ready to go.
Are you well prepared for the pitch?
Yeah, always.
They're all waiting for you. Your time starts now.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. My name is David. I'm one of the co-founders of Wolfram. Let's get right into it. Which challenge do we face as a human? First of all, the e-mobility is not environmentally friendly because of the non-existent circular economy and the critical resources used in batteries. Furthermore, a green energy transition is not possible without storage systems because renewables fluctuate and the fossil fuels will be switched off in 2030. The demand of energy is rising, more badly in the time where renewables do not produce energy. So we need to save energy, a lot of energy. In the worst case, we need over 9 terawatt hours of capacity. To show you how much it is, we would probably need more than 90 billion MacBook Pros to have the capacity that we needed. So that is around 12 MacBooks per human on the planet. What can we do about it? We developed a solution for both problems. Our environmentally friendly and affordable storage system out of second life batteries. We reducing the ecological footprint and enable a circular economy. We lower the investment costs up to 30% and maintain the same lifetime due to intelligent charging systems. How do we do that? We get the batteries, test them, and connect them to our smart battery management system. After the integration, we are ready to go. To see who wants to give these batteries a second life, let me introduce you to the Wolfram. Last year, we were just consisting of the founders. Now we have a huge team with a highly motivated humans who want to make an impact. In the future, it's not about who needs battery storage systems. It will be about who can handle them. In the first life of batteries, the companies will get into a war of resources, and the home storage branch will lose against automotive companies. We don't want to get involved in this. We just want to be the experts in the field of second life. Because of the leading position we have right now, we have managed to cover our needs for the batteries for the next 3 years. What do we need right now? First of all, we need to expand our leading position as a first mover in this market. So we need to get faster than we currently are. In order to become faster, we need to finance our vision with strong partners who are willing to go the sustainable path with us. And we need you, not only as an employee, moreover as a human who is aware of what is possible in regarding to sustainability. So we are ready to save the world. Are you?
David, thank you. Thank you so much. Support panel. Who has a question?
Maybe I can start. The question from my side would be, you are relying on these used batteries in order to prolong the life. How reliable is the supply of these batteries? Don't you see any possible changes in the future that maybe with improved technology for the battery creation, at some point you will not be able to use these batteries in this extension that you're planning now? Or are you assuming that this kind of status quo that you have now will continue in the future?
Honestly, I couldn't acoustically hear your question really good. So if you summarize it again, I would try to answer it.
Yeah, I think I am having issues with the microphone. I will let the other panelists to ask questions because there are some technical issues here.
My question is an understanding. So where is your knowledge? Is it in putting together the system, storage system? Is it to get access to the second life batteries? What is, let's say, your uniqueness of your team?
Sorry for interrupting. We have the holistic solution of second life batteries. It starts from the sourcing into the transportation to the testing and the safe charging of these batteries and maintaining a long lifetime. So we are currently building a lot of experience in how to handle with these second life batteries. We are monitoring them and we're building the holistic solution, because there is not just the technology part, it's more overall the law part, the subscription, like the selling part and so on. So we are currently building up a huge knowledge base out of Second Life batteries, like the whole package. But we develop also like the BMS between the charging system and the batteries. Like this is our IP, which we developed.
Okay, great. So let us talk afterwards. We're definitely interested, and we're looking as an investor in these kind of areas. So that's definitely very interesting.
Wonderful. Somebody else can maybe help with some of the asks. Or you have clarifying questions still?
The funny part is Tim Schumacher was the first investor we ever sent our pitch decks to. There the loop is closing.
Yeah, and I still very much like the idea. It's the big question back then, as you know, is what does the decrease in prices do for your business model? So I think that's going to be the hard part. But if, especially at some point, that bottoms out or the cost for recycling goes up a lot, then I think it can be a great business model. I really like it.
Another point maybe to consider, I mean, I didn't run to say anything because we actually as a fund don't do investments in the energy sector at all, but maybe also to consider is that more and more bigger corporates and bigger manufacturers, they're turning into a circular economy model where they say, well, we produce our products, but hey, consumers bring back the products again whole, and then, so that we're able to recycle it and to be able to track in a certain way. And if that's the case for batteries, that kind of, eats at your business model if you want to use those as a second life battery away from the primary OEM. So I would definitely put that trend a little bit into consideration as well.
That is a good point, but we talked to many OEMs. Right now they don't see the business case. They are seeing that in like 5 years. In 5 years, you can gain so much knowledge, which give us the first mover and the advantage to them. So it's maybe smarter for the OEMs to work with us than to build its own Second Life engineering troop or something.
Did you offer something for them? So like, a white label solution for the OEMs that you can do the business maybe in the first 5 years for them, and then they can decide, but you gain the knowledge and therefore are in a great position then when the market really starts?
We have many solutions for OEMs, like beginning at we are just buying the batteries from them, then in a subscription model for them, and we could give them like the IP to sell it in a white label with their logo. But right now, the white label use case never got asked we never got the question if we can do that for them.
David, thank you so much. Time is up, unfortunately. Please reach out to David if you have any further questions, if you can directly help, if you have any ideas how he can accelerate in whatever way. David, thanks so much for pitching and sharing. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, David. Thank you.
We have seen 3 startups now.
Yeah.
Julia.
Really exciting. So I'd love to, obviously, at the very end, reflect on all of our experiences on how everything went. And Manuel and I thought that now would be a good time to also have a bit of a conversation with the support panel, because you guys, of course, have so much experience, so many interesting opinions. And we've prepared 2 questions for us to engage in a small conversation. So how about we do that? Sounds good?
Absolutely, yes. Would love to hear from you and also your view on where we are at with regards to climate.
Amazing. So the first question, which we are very curious about, is specifically to the investors in the panel. Of course, you have seen, or you are seeing, so many opportunities, right? But which ones are the most interesting, most promising opportunities, or which areas, and why do you think those opportunities are promising? Because obviously we all know we need to act very fast. Does someone want to go first?
I'd be happy to go. So I wouldn't want to single out one thing, but in our approach to climate investment, essentially we look at project drawdown. And for everyone who doesn't know that, I really suggest you Google, ECOSIA, of course, project drawdown. And it's a scientific model, an international model, where they've essentially looked at all the different levers there is and then grouped them and came up with the most promising 100 ones. And it's a huge variety. And that's what makes climate so fascinating. It's not this one thing. Carbon is everywhere, and there's transportation. We've seen some of that with energy. There's food. There is housing, materials. So it's everywhere in our life. And then essentially you can go through list by list, and that's what we do, and look at, okay, what are the big levers? And the interesting thing is you see a lot of those levers which you didn't think they are levers. And I'm really excited, looking at the top 10, really. Top 10 of Project Drawdown, those are my areas. Food waste is definitely in there. Wind energy, for example, is in there. Things like biochar is in there. Oceans, very interesting stuff. And that's the approach I would also encourage every entrepreneur to take when you kind of look at business ideas and you want to go top down.
Right. Perhaps just one small follow-up question. So you're talking about levers, and you said you were surprised by some. Can you name one example of one that really surprised you?
One that was surprising that, it's very clear after thinking of it, but it's a little harder to do it a venture case is women's education. That is one of the highest levers. And it's very clear that women's education, if that then leads to changed behaviors, different family models can have a very, very important one. And that, for example, was one which very much surprised me.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Tim. Johannes, you wanted to contribute as well.
Yes, first I have to agree with Tim. I think there are a lot of different levers. And by the way, we don't have time to look only at the big ones, maybe. So there's, I think, market opportunities and for a lot of these levers, right? And it makes sense to look a few. From our side, we also always match it with what we know and where do we think can be also be grown venture capital companies, because what we've learned also in clean tech first wave, right, 10 years ago, and not every climate saving, let's say, model or technology or lever is also good to build a company on. So for a VC and investor, it's also important to look where you can really build future also financially attractive companies. And for us, this is in the end really in the technology. We need, go from exchange fossil fuel. Is it in steel making? That's a big thing, but it's in energy, it's in intelligent saving, it's in changing our mobility. What we think, by the way, is very difficult is to really change consumer behavior. That people now suddenly will not fly anymore and that they will not eat meat anymore. I just don't think it will happen. It would be great, but I don't think the human mind is built to that. So we are looking at ways where people can actually a little bit adapt their behavior, but in the end that we make mobility, carbon free. And these are, I think, the big things where we look at.
That's really interesting. Amazing. How about we hear from at least one more person, and then Manuel has another very interesting question. Marie, what do you think?
Maybe I can add with that. I completely agree with Johannes. So there's obviously, investors who would invest in social impact companies, which have its place, but there's also other types of investors which we sort of go into. And our philosophy is really to say, well, what makes a sustainable investment? Sustainable investment is obviously, following ESG, following impact, being good on environment, climate, people, etc. but also those that are financially successful and can establish themselves as financially successful businesses. They are thus able to get a significant market share, and thus by getting a significant market share, because we live in a capitalistic society, they are thus able to make the most impact. So that's sort of the philosophy that we're following. And you asked sort of, what are the most interesting cases that we look at? Completely agree with the other two, that there are so many different types of technologies that make a difference in climate, in social. If I personally had one, it would definitely be really leveraging biology in order to make a sustainable product, whether you're using synthetic biology, so you're basically biohacking different microorganisms to make novel products, or if you're really, using biology to make new types of proteins, new types of polymers. So really the whole bio-based aspect to say, well, what comes from the ground will go back into the ground. That's kind of our fund's philosophy as well, is where we also see ourselves.
Amazing. That makes a lot of sense, obviously, with your background in biology. But Manuel, you have a really interesting question as well.
Yeah, what I would like, because there are probably quite some people interested not only in climate but also maybe funding or founding a climate startup or already running one. What would be one piece of advice that you have for an aspiring entrepreneur or for an entrepreneur that's already on the journey for their climate tech business, and not the typical startup advice maybe, but maybe a little bit more climate tech specific?
Can I
give this?
Yes, please. Who wants to go first?
Anna, you go first.
Yeah, I'll go first. So at the Green Tech Alliance, we're working with over 600 green tech startups globally now, and we're very focused on enabling them in their fundraising processes. And I can just say from experience that there's a tendency, especially in the green tech market, to focus very much on creating, a solution and making it as sustainable as possible, and sometimes lack on the business model. So I would advise every green tech founder to focus on creating a valid business model, because that's essential also to, bridge the financing gap in this industry.
Thank you. JJ, you want to go next?
Yes, thank you. So one thing I would give as piece of advice is don't do it alone. This is especially true for people in more in hardware or in deep science or technological advancements. There's a tendency that what I've noticed is that people are kind of afraid to ask for help, because it's sometimes seen as people can't help, or I need to do it myself. I don't exactly know what the reason is, but ask for help, because we're in a space where, first of all, we have a lot of momentum. Everyone is aware of, everyone wants to help, but you can only help if you're making it clear to others. And also the topic is too big to tackle by yourself, so let's do it all together. And if we all have that kind of mindset, I think we can do great things together. And yeah, if everyone has that in this space, you just grow. And I think I'll leave it to that.
Yeah, it's also very much ties into the give, ask that is one of the house rules at Pirate, and that we also try to incorporate in everything that we do. Somebody else has an advice.
Yes, I would.
Yes, Marcus.
I would go with persistence and resilience. I think it's very important for all founders, but especially in climate tech space. The cases are often not so obvious, and especially the business models. And it helps to be really persistent and really find the niche market, which could be a huge market in the future, and really build the business models. And it feels like that it's a bit more difficult in climate tech space, and you need much more persistence and more resilience to be successful in the end.
That's a very good point.
One more thing I would like to add is there has to be a benefit for the end customer or the end customers and the stakeholders beyond just climate and beyond feeling good. So in other words, I like to say often the best products are climate-friendly products you would be able to sell to a climate denier. So for example, a solar panel. A solar panel is the absolute best risk-free investment you can make in Germany today. And that you can sell to a climate denier. And these are the markets you need to tackle. Things which have a financial benefit, but also a benefit in climate at the same time.
Yeah.
Very interesting that you say that, because when we looked at all the startups that applied, and there were a few startups that had as their problem slide, we are solving climate change, and the problem was climate change, and that was something obviously that has an impact, but that's not the problem for the customer.
That's not a user problem, exactly.
Yeah, very good point. Somebody else?
Maybe I could add an additional point, and it's the issue with customer behavior. I think it was already mentioned here, but sometimes founders underestimate how difficult is changing the behavior that the persons have already acquired over the time. And we think that the better that a new solution or a new product can integrate or be smooth adopted is the easiest way in order to scale the use of this product. Because if we are assuming that the users are going to be willing to change some kind of a routine or attitude, I think that will be more difficult to introduce the product. So it's this impact on the climate, also this price plays a role as well. But the use of a solution or a product is, I think, the higher the chances are that this will fly at the end.
Thank you very much. Who else? Somebody else has an advice? If not, then we'll just move on. Thank you very, very much. Very interesting. I think there were quite a few points in there, and I especially like that this is not the typical startup advice, but really at the sector. Excellent. We have 3 more startups coming, Julia. What do you think? Are we ready?
We absolutely are. Yes. Cool. So let's go ahead. And the next startup is an interesting startup that's in the fitness area, which is called Sadhu, and founded by Elise. So welcoming Sadhu.
Elise, are you there?
All right, here we go. Hello, can you hear us?
Guys, sorry. One
Hi,
moment.
Elise. Nice to see you. How are you doing?
You can hear me and see me now. Great.
Yes, can you hear us? Can you hear me right now?
Yes, all is good.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Great. So we're excited to hear from you and your app. So let's get started.
I'm
We've
excited
got 3 minutes.
and to tell you more about it.
Awesome. So let's get started. You've got 3 minutes.
Brilliant. Okay. So do you remember the first time that you decided climate change was a problem for you? I do. And it was when I was living in London and I was getting sick constantly. And the doctor told me that you are allergic to London. As an Aussie who grew up frolicking in nature outdoors, yes, we do that over there, I was allergic to the polluted London climate, and a healthy me needed a healthy environment. I decided that I needed to make change, but where to start? And it's a common problem. Corporations must implement and communicate sustainability commitments, and they must do so across the board to a variety of stakeholders. Their end customers demand it from them. Their employees demand it from them. Governments demand it from them. And let's not forget Mother Nature. Sustainable innovation is expensive. current solutions fail to engage employees and create a larger organizational transformation. So, to drive change, companies need to be able to openly and easily communicate their sustainability commitments. Corporations need to encourage sustainability from the top all the way down. Meanwhile, individuals want a really easy way to make eco-conscious decisions and ideally be rewarded for doing so. Sadhu gives companies a quick win tool to communicate their sustainability commitments and their commitment to the climate and benefit from carbon credits, whilst giving employees an easy way to also help fight the climate crisis. Our mobile app allows companies to reward active employees with trees planted in certified environmental projects around the world. Simply sync up your fitness tracker with our app and you earn trees every time you make a move. Financial contributions to your chosen sustainability partner will be calculated based on the number of calories you burn. So move more, help the planet more. We have an enterprise SaaS sustainability solution, as I like to call it, which is a long-term initiative to partner with companies, and pricing is dependent on use. We also have the opportunity for small business for small business that they can do a one-off 30-day fitness challenge, which allows fitness clubs, running groups, small teams within companies to kickstart their sustainability journey as well. We launched our MMP this July, growing at 14% week on week currently. We have our first paying customers and have acquired a few early adopters with 4 companies running POCs currently, and one of them we're in negotiations with to organize an enterprise rollout. And lots of people spend money on this. Employee engagement is big. There's a lot of money flowing out there, and it's because there's a 16% bottom line return on companies that decide to invest into employee well-being. It's a hot topic at the moment, and it's only going to get hotter. Excuse the pun. And with our solution, how about using that spend to kill 2 birds with 1 stone? We have a variety of sustainability projects that we can support with our steps, and imagine the possibilities if every employee around the world synced their steps with Sadhu. Our team, we're a combination of product management, data science, VC, corporate innovation, and that combination with our advisors, who one is the successful exiter of D2C fintech and the other Google machine learning. With our powers combined, we believe we can make this work. What do we want? Do you want to unite personal well-being with the health of the planet? Do you want to be a corporation that runs sustainably? Then we want you to join the Sadhu crew. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Elise. A little bit over time, but I think it was fine. So let's get to the support panel.
A little bit excited, as you can see.
Any questions you have for Elise?
The question for me, from my side, would be, in one of the slides, you were mentioning the point about monetizing. So if I understood right, the employees who are collecting the points will also be able to have a monetary incentive on that, or how is the model working on that point?
So for the enterprise sustainability solution, what we do there is we have a contract set up such that the corporation will have contributions being made directly. So the company will make those on behalf of the activities of their employees. And then there would also be some revenue that comes to us as part of that. Otherwise, the 30-day challenge is a one-off payment of which we just make the contributions on behalf of our users, depending on how much they move. Does that answer the question?
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Any other questions?
I was wondering, and I mean, linking it with fitness, I mean, it sounds nice, but what in the end does fitness has to do with, let's say, climate change? And the question is, would it not make more sense maybe to combine it with, let's say, I take the bike, but I didn't take my own car, and that's why I saved, let's say, climate, and therefore you get even more credits, something like that.
So you've kind of given a little bit of a way what we're thinking about for the future. Is being able to have the mobility side of things as well. The reason we started with fitness is because it's something that encourages people to get healthy and also to have this idea of keep yourself healthy, and then also to think about the health of the planet. So a little bit of a behavioral thing. But the idea is as well that we would want to potentially move into other activity types. So to incentivize you to take a walk rather than take an Uber, for instance. So that would be the idea.
Great, thanks. I'm thinking, Tim, do you have some thoughts as well? Because you obviously invested in Ecosia, which also plants trees for every search made. So do you have some thoughts about this concept that Elise presented?
So actually, I like the concept. I mean, it looks odd at first, the combination of fitness and trees, but I think people want to take action, and fitness is action. And then, of course, the combination, whether you take you go by foot or you take a car, then you actually have an environmental impact. But just generally making this something of a daily habit, I think that's where it really counts. And then you can put in other daily actions, and just like a Fitbit is the daily action of many people. So I like the general concept. I actually do have something to help here. I can help you a bit with Ecosia here. One of the ideas, as you know, some of you know, we're raising a climate fund at the moment together with Ecosia, and one of the ideas is that we have 1 billion page views with Ecosia at the moment, and we like to help other startups and potentially invest and help them with the traffic we have, and that could work really well. Also, I can offer you trees. We have kind of a tree planting as an organization thing. You can basically just hook into our thing and use our trees if you like. So there are some things where I can actually help you, and I encourage you to just reach out to me on Twitter, like what you're doing.
Sounds good. Thanks, Tim. And I think to your point there, that's exactly what we're thinking, is that fitness is something that people do on a regular basis, and being able to make that connection to thinking about the climate. And then ideally that would lead on to other decisions you make as well, to just start having that in the back of people's mind. That's kind of where we came from.
Awesome. What an amazing outcome. That is a great synergy right there. Cool. So we've got about a minute left. Does anyone have any last remaining comments, suggestions they want to make? I know, Elise, you're asking for customers for more exposure, correct? So does anyone in the panel have more thoughts here?
As I mentioned before, we have a large carbon network, and as you say, people are looking for fast and easy things for employment engagement. So happy to have a closer look at it and maybe offering it to our corporate partners.
Perfect. Sounds good. I'll definitely hit you up.
Perfect. Great. So I think we can wrap it up here and let the next startup take the stage. But thanks so much, Elise. That was a great presentation. Thank you for sharing your vision with us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, guys.
Nice concept. Super interesting. Thank you very, very much. We are moving over to solar panels. And the next startup is making solar more affordable and accessible for everyone. And I'm very excited to welcome on stage Sanvigo.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, hi. I'm terribly sorry. There was a switch and I didn't know about it. It's not Sanvigo, it's Nexton. I'm terribly sorry. My mistake.
No problem.
David, I'm so sorry. But let me so we're not going to talk about solar panels, but we're going to talk about streetlights. Super
True.
Interesting concept.
This is true.
Yes, super interesting concept. Very. When I first saw this startup, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a big problem. I have never thought about how to really solve that." And David has a very interesting approach. David, you have 3 minutes, and the time starts now.
Perfect. Well, good afternoon, everybody. First of all, this is Davide, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Nexton, a startup company based in Italy. And I'm really pleased to introduce you our Nextlight project. It's an innovative solution which we have developed to make intelligent your outdoor lighting network and makes you save on cost, basically. In fact, when we look at the nowadays streetlights where you're working, these are always on, regardless to traffic. It's working inefficiently. We have no data about about the asset, and this makes operation and maintenance expensive and unsustainable. Well, with our solution, we managed to turn it sustainable and intelligent through the integration of sensors for the provision of smart city services in the end. That's how the solution principle looks like. This is next slide. It's an easy to use IoT hardware plus software compound to allow extensive energy saving at an affordable price. We have an integrated motion sensors which detects the presence and activate light only when and where it's needed, saving therefore when there is no presence around. So this is the hardware part. It is plug and play, retrofit capable, is autonomous and easy to use. We designed it, developed it, and we also have a partnership in place with the manufacturing company to handle high volume requests. Through our software platform, customers can manage remotely and in real time their streetlights network, and the network is furthermore geolocalized, and customers can get alerted when malfunctions occur. We have certainly got a few key reasons why you should adopt our solutions. Just to mention some, we can enhance up to 75% of energy saving, which is coming from 60% from the dimming and 15% from the enhanced predictive maintenance. We can ensure up to 50% of CO2 emissions reduction, and it's basically in the end also easy to integrate with extra sensors. The smart streetlight solutions market is worth globally more than 20 billion, and it is growing at a fast pace. We are more than convinced that we could address an attractive portion of it, and we are also riding the wave of favorable global and EU regulations. This is basically for us just the perfect time to act. This is our successful pilot test, which we have conducted in Turin in a green park area. With 4 months of data, we could confirm a significant reduction in CO2 emissions and significant energy saving. Our customers pay us a one-off amount and a periodical subscription fee, which covers data hosting and dashboard management, and we make profit on both. Here's the lineup, long-term friends before being colleagues and partners with the great mix of academic and professional background and experiences. We've got all the right competencies in place, plus we have decided also to advocate ourselves with an experienced advisory board member. Over time, we've got few awards and recognition, and we have obtained 50K investments in October 2020. So to conclude, that's what we like to ask to the audience, if they can help us with connections for potential adopters in municipalities for the B2G area, or real estate companies, facility management companies, investors. We look for what we call a sustainable investment of 700K to scale, and then otherwise collaboration in the energy or sensors space. And thanks for your attention.
Davide, thanks so much. A tad over time, but just still in time, I would say. Thanks so much. The support panel, what are your questions?
My question would be, are there specific regions you're focused on?
Well, for our go-to-market strategy, we prefer to stay for year one within Europe, of course, for risk reasons, to buffer it down, and also for logistical reasons. But of course, we aim to go international.
Mm-hmm. So what I like is that you actually calculated your carbon potential. That's something we do for our fund as well, and we have kind of a minimum threshold of the savings potential that needs to be met. So my question is, have you calculated the potential of this technology if rolled out in the entire world? Like, what would be the carbon savings potential in megatons if every street light in the world would use your technology?
That's actually an interesting advice that we should take and implement, because we did not do that. We just limited our calculation to a projection of 1,000 streetlights, and the saving was just incredible in terms of kilograms for CO2, and it was about 20,000 kilograms CO2 saved yearly, approximately. I don't have the right number.
It was an impressive number and a small project, and so it would be interesting to hear what's in the world, and then put it again in perspective to all the other means. If you have that number, send it to me, please. I'd love to hear from you.
I will, definitely.
What I really liked was that you were very clear on, the benefit I mean, it's a no-brainer why your product would offer such a benefit. My question is, and maybe you have it in some of your backup slides because it's more detailed, is really to calculate the cost benefit for your customers. So because of predictive maintenance, you save on labor costs because you don't need to call a guy to fix one of your street lamps in just one of them, but you can really maintain them all at the same point. And because you're dimming them and also you're turning off, I guess, the lights if people are not in close proximity, that you also save on energy costs as well. So at the end of the day, you're also providing a massive cost advantage also to your customers. So really to see the levels of how big that is in relation to how much it would cost to implement your solution would be really interesting.
Correct. Thanks for commenting on those. I'd like to elaborate just a bit more. Indeed. So there is a main saving quota which is coming from the dimming, which can be up to 70%. That's what we state, because indeed it's depending on traffic, and traffic is something we cannot predict. But when there is no traffic around, we keep a minimum light intensity on, and we save up to 70% in terms of energy. But then there is an additional energy saving quota coming from the fact that nowadays the maintenance is being handled in a reactive way, which is usually has to do with something urgent, and urgency has to do with the high cost and so on. So using the data, we can roll out predictive maintenance plan, which means collectively replace lamps, for example, get alerted in real time and save a lot in terms of money.
Mm-hmm. And just a short comment. In addition to that, I would really highlight also the fact that because you have this implemented, I mean, all those advantages you said in relation to the cost of implementing your product and how fast the customer can basically amortize that cost.
Yeah, that was your first question, actually. Sorry, I missed it. Well, with the streetlights network, with 120 points above, we can always ensure a payback period, which is between 5 and 8 years.
Mm-hmm. Davide.
Somebody else. JJ.
Yeah, thank you. Davide, first of all, I really like it. And I have some questions around how sensitive are these sensors that you don't have a flickering city the whole night. But more on the support side, one of the partners of Green Tech Alliance is BMW Foundation, which has a program called RISE Cities, where they're working together with municipalities and cities, mostly in Europe, to actually look into these kind of innovations and roll it out en masse. And beyond that, and it kind of slipped my mind, but another partner of Green Tech Alliance also has a lot of tenders regarding to these kind of solutions for cities as well in Europe. So I'm happy to follow up after today to help you on that path.
Wow, awesome. It sounds like amazing. Thanks for that. Indeed,
that's a wonderful outcome.
To know more about
yes, Davide, the time is up, but I also want to encourage everybody that maybe has contacts to municipalities, any government institutions, whatever, to maybe make an intro, help out. That would certainly help. I just got the information that we have time for one more question. So somebody has another question, or maybe I put Oscar on the spot because he's working in a municipality. What would the process look like for Davide to get in contact and show his solution?
Yeah, that was what I wanted to offer as well, because that's one topic in the city of Cologne as well. We are constantly looking for different use cases of how the use of technology can improve in energy efficiency or use cases for IoT. I think we have a couple of initiatives, and then I will follow up with you different projects that we have that maybe we can place your idea and see how we can build upon that.
Many thanks for that, Oscar. And indeed, I'm looking forward to hear from you and to know more about.
Really nice. So, Davide, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing that. That's a problem that sometimes you don't see the trees because of or the forest because of all the trees. That's a very obvious problem. A great idea, a great product. We wish you all the best. If we from Pirate can help, of course we're here. Now the next startup.
Thanks.
And we're going to talk solar panels.
Yes, the next and the last startup.
That's true.
So yes, now it's time for Sunvigo to come, which is operating in the solar panel field. And it's going to be presented by Michael. So welcome, Michael and Sunvigo.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Michael. Hello.
Hi. Hi.
Good to see you. How are you? Where are you dialing in from?
Good, thank you. It's actually not Michael. He couldn't attend. So it's Wigan, one of the co-founders of Sunvigo, and I'm very excited to be here.
Right, what's your name?
I'm looking forward to your thoughts and questions. My name is Wigan, and I'm just trying to share my screen, but obviously it's not working.
It'll work
I don't
out
know what the reason is. Let me just try again.
Okay, great. Well, what would today be if there wasn't one technical hiccup, right?
Well,
I mean, we're doing a virtual event, so that's bound to happen.
At least we hear and see you. That's a good start.
All right, great. So that's a good start, right? So, but indeed, so I have difficulties to share my screen. It is not allowed to share it somehow.
Then let's you go and fix the screen, and we quickly talk to the support panel. That's what I would support.
Right.
I would propose. Okay. So yeah, short technical difficulties. We'll be back in a minute with Sunvigo. Maybe a quick question already. We are not all the way at the end, but maybe some observations from you so far. What do you think about the pitches, the style of pitching, the ideas? Somebody wants to go?
Yeah, happy to go. So first of all, I really like the notion that we should rather ask questions, and I'm still an investor, so I'm interested in more details, but also to give kind of a supporting advice. When I was with my startups 10 years ago, it was really like pitching competition, and it was always questions to what could be hurdles and what, so I like the whole sense of being a little bit more supportive and really asking for advice. I think that's very helpful, and in total I think it's good quality what we see here, and very interesting concepts.
Awesome, thank you so much. Do you have any other ideas that came up, or in terms of the concept, or any new insights that you got from these startups that attended today?
So, or maybe one definition of success is definitely, should we do this again? Do you think this is worth doing again? Think this is helpful? Is this helpful for you? Do you think this is helpful for the startups, for the audience? Because this was the first time that we were doing that. I don't know how many other kind of pitch sessions there are that do something like that, but this is still, we are experimenting a bit from our side. So
I do like it.
Yeah?
I do like it. I think an improvement would be that we have more space for actual support, maybe also after, where there's a it could even be just a sheet where people are asking for example, the introductions, and that we can just fill in where we can do an introduction, something very simple, but not to immediately have that everything is lost after. Because if I now shut down my computer, it might be lost after, and that would be a shame. But overall, let's keep it.
I think that is a good idea. I will discuss with the team how we can make that happen on short notice. Really good suggestion. Absolutely. I also think that next time maybe we do the pitches, we just record them, and that you have them before, and then we can really go into the supporting and having the Q&A and having this session all together. I think it's very important that everybody has the possibility to also know about this and know about the startups, so everybody has access. And I hope that also the people that are currently watching, that they are reaching out, supporting, maybe even just tweeting, hey, this is a cool startup, or reaching out to a friend, to an acquaintance, something like that. So quickly asking the technical team, what is the situation with Sunvigo? Okay, because if the slides don't work, we just do it without the slides. I would propose. Okay, right. Still a Zoom issue, but we're doing the.
Maybe I'm just thinking about a question as well, because obviously this is all about asking and offering, and we're supporting the founders, but then you as the support panel, maybe you have an ask as well, the investors, what are you looking for example, in terms of investments, or is there something specific that you're asking for right now?
I think for us, well, at least for ECBF, it's really the opportunity to see high potential startups that fit to our investment verticals. So even if they're a little bit early stage, so we do growth stage, so typically Series B and onwards. But I'm the philosophy that you should get to know the high potential cases earlier on. So that's what I'm looking for, the opportunity to hear, really innovative startups earlier on, keeping an eye on them, and maybe also getting in contact with them and keeping in contact until maybe the time point is right where we would potentially invest.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you.
I think Sunvigo is ready to go.
Oh, are they ready to go?
Yes, they are ready to go.
Okay. All right. Cool. So let's go with Sunvigo then.
Again, and I really look forward to your thoughts and questions regarding our business model and the product that we have created. Can you hear me?
There's a bit of an echo going on. Can you check if your microphone is fine? Okay, all good. Let's go ahead.
All right. I hope it's better now. It works.
Right. Perfect.
Yes, please. Your time is you're on. Please start.
Hello. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we're good to go. Stage is yours.
All right. Okay. Excellent. So then let's move to the second slide. So let's start with our vision. So what is our vision? Our purpose is to contribute to a world relying on 100% renewable energy. We are here to find the climate change. We had two observations that sparked Sunvigo. The first was our observations that more than 15% of Europe's power consumption could be generated with a rooftop solar. And connected with that, or the second one is millions of homeowners want to go solar, but their needs are not met by existing products. Buying or renting hardware and operating it yourself is inconvenient. So therefore, today, less than 1% of European power comes from rooftops. So only 1% or less than 1%. We founded Sunvigo last summer to simplify access to solar power and build a green power community based on network of residential solar power consumers and assets in Europe. So next slide, please. So what is our solution? It's pretty simple. So we actually merged two existing products in one. So first one, Sunvigo integrates a rooftop PV system in a convenient power contract. So we own and operate the PV system. We deliver rooftop solar power and green power to our customers, whereby the solar power is 40% less expensive than grid power. And we market excess solar power and crowd flexibility, such as balancing energy to the distribution system operators or the TSOs. Excellent. So next slide. Our goal is to radically simplify customer access to the gains of rooftop solar power, specifically comparing power contracts and switching to a more attractive Sunvigo contract is an easy decision. Our customers remain financially flexible as they only pay what they consume, and we provide peace of mind as our customers avoid the effort and risk of operating a solar rooftop system themselves. All right, next slide. Our power contract is actually the foundation in terms of asset base and customer relations to build Europe's energy company of the future. As of next year, we are maximizing the value of our asset base by connecting our assets via virtual power plants, marketing solar power to all B2C customers, and selling crowd flexibility. And as of 2023, we are maximizing the value of our customers' relations by marketing adjacent services such as e-mobility or heat as a service. 40 months post-market entry, we have achieved annual run rates of 500 customers and 10 million euros of order intake. Till now, we have raised more than 4 million euros in equity and about 3 million euros in asset financing. And currently, we are preparing for our Series A. So next slide. So how can you support our mission? So actually 3 points. Connect us with leaders who successfully scaled installer partner networks. Join the Sunvigo team or connect us with great talents. And third, connect us with investors that share our mission. So that's actually it. Thanks a lot for your attention and looking forward to your thoughts.
Thank you very much. Fantastic presentation. Great that things worked out at the end. So over to the support panel. Does anybody have a question for Sunvigo? Any comments, clarifications? Or anything you could help with concerning the asks at the very end?
I have a question about the regulations. So if you are in different countries, the regulations, how to manage your own solar panels and this kind of community, do you know if it's possible in maybe every bigger country in Europe, or do you see some difficulties and focus on some country?
Indeed, there are differences in regulation, in particular grid regulation and also grid access, but also different types of kind of, I would say, price components like taxes, like levies, and so on. So there are some differences, but luckily, so we have a common European regulation that tries at least to I would say, to bring together all the different aspects from different markets and put it into one kind of regulatory scheme. So that's actually the idea. And the motivation behind that is actually to enable customers or to enable competition and force competition that actually reduces prices for the consumers. So that's the idea behind it. And I think a common regulation would allow us then to enter many other different markets. So we started in Germany. So that's actually our first country where we stepped in. And I think many others will follow.
Great that you started in Germany, because it's probably the most regulated one and it's a difficult one. Most difficult one.
Yes,
with taxes.
Indeed.
Maybe I could help with some ideas about this installer networks and maybe we can talk about that later on.
that would be great. That would be very helpful. Because as you know, so we face a very fragmented market in solar market, and we have to handle the quality, of course, of the service delivered, of the installations, of course. So it's from our perspective, it's crucial to have a good installer network to be able to deliver a great product to our customers.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot.
I have a question about your assumption that the key problem for people to install solar power is, the commitment side. Do you have any validation for that? Because I'm just wondering if it's free, that's actually going to make people install solar on their houses. You understand?
Well, so what we actually see is that many people would like to have a rooftop PV system, but they do not do that. They do not invest in a PV system because the regulation is very difficult to capture, and also regarding topics like how shall we deal with tax that you have to pay once you invest in a solar panel, or questions how this is regulated. So all these kind of things. So there are high burdens to really enter that market or to invest in that solar system. So from that perspective, it's much easier for a customer just to switch the contract, the power contract, and come to us. What we offer is actually the power contract, and with the power contract, we bring the PV system and install it. So that's actually it. And the customer get the power from two sources. The first is from the PV system, and the second is from the grid. So we are a kind of prosumer utility in that sense, providing power from PV and grid.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And that also wraps up our very last startup pitch. So thank you very much for listening, for pitching both to the startups and to the support panel. And Manuel, do you have some closing remarks? Some things you want to say?
Yeah, first of all, thank you, San Vigo, very much. Yeah, I'm right now. I'm already reflecting, and we did a short reflection also with a support panel about whether we should. Is this the right format? Does this really help? Is this supporting what the idea is? I have right now. I have a good feeling. I don't know what's going out there. What is out there, right? How is it perceived, etc. Definitely want to check in with the startups. But it was a refreshing, different take. I also think so on how to, let's say, have a group of startups present their idea with an energy of help, not an energy of going against each other or telling them why they are not going to succeed, but really saying, okay, this might be a path for you, how to succeed. I can just say a big thank you to all of you that were on the support panel today. I hope that was time well spent. I thank you very much for just being so kind in the give, ask spirit to share your thoughts, share your expertise, your network, whatever. Please do reach out to the startups, and the startups please reach out to the people on the support panel that also told you about that. If if you don't find it easy to reach out, please contact us. We're very glad to make the match. And yeah, having said that, all the best to wherever you are, and thank you very much for your contribution. Thank you.
Absolutely. Also from my side, big thank you to everybody who joined today. Also, thanks obviously to the entire Pirate Live team for also having me here. And I very much enjoyed this, especially some of the insights that came out, like during our little little panel discussion, I would say. Like, I think it was you, Tim, that mentioned, right, the companies that just use climate as the problem, but they actually don't sell the product that people want to use. And that if we build a climate tech startup, it should be solving a problem for both climate believers and also the people that are not yet so much on the climate train. And I love that notion, and a lot of other notions as well that were mentioned here. What about you, Manuel? Did you have some interesting takeaways as well?
Absolutely. I think it was good. I had the chance to have a glimpse at the startups before, so I knew what was coming. I especially liked, and I don't know if also from the panel, if you were missing industries, etc. We obviously worked with the applications that we received, but I think that we had a good mix of food, and of course energy was represented, also a country mix, so that was quite good. So I'm very happy with what we saw today. So again, thank you to the support panel. We are going to wrap up. A big shout out to wherever you are. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.